I've been dating my girlfriend for 3 years now. I'll nickname her Emily. It started innocently enough when I commented on one of her Instagram stories, and we started chatting from there. Eventually, I got her number and then her Snapchat. After a week, we met in person. We started hanging out right after the holidays in January, and the thought of Valentine's Day was already coming up. It was nice having started talking to a girl around that time so that I wouldn't feel the dread of being alone on that annoying holiday. But as Valentine's Day approached and Emily and I were a few dates in, she confided in me about a stalker situation she'd been dealing with. The man's name is Daniel, and he's a guy a few years older than Emily who happened to go to the same commuter college as her. They met in class for a group project, and he followed her around campus a few times. She never involved the police or anything, shockingly. Hearing that this guy found out where she lived and sent her a bunch of creepy texts, which she ignored, was alarming. She said she never blocked the number because she wanted to see how far he would go without getting the hints. When I asked why she was choosing now to bring this to my attention, she said it was because he started reaching out to her again, specifically for Valentine's Day. As you can see here, he started ramping up the texting again as Valentine's Day approached. She continued to just ignore it and let the texts pile up, but he brought it to the next level when he left a box of chocolates on her doorstep. She knew it was from him because he texted her, "I hope you like the gift I left you." This was when she decided to put an end to it and replied to him with a long message, which I won't share for her privacy, but in short, she said he needs help and that she's seeing someone now, so to leave her alone. There are a number of ways to get someone's address these days, but she was scared that he got it by following her home one day. I did my best to make sure that she knew I wouldn't let him do anything to her. Fast forward maybe a few days, and Emily sent me a concerning screenshot. It was a screenshot of some text from a fake number asking if the guy she was seeing was me, as in, he wrote my name. Now I felt involved, and that made me feel moderately uncomfortable. To this point, all I've heard of this guy was that he was a very creepy and overly persistent texter, and potentially followed the girl I'm seeing home to her house. Now he's texting her on fake numbers, bringing up my name. It was reaching the point where Emily was close to calling the police if this didn't stop. I told her I'd go to the police station with her if he reached out one more time. Fast forward to Valentine's Day. It was on a Friday this year. Emily and I went out to eat at a nice restaurant that sat on the water. We were at an outside table because the weather was nice. As we ate, we both took notice of a guy sitting on a bench outside of the dining area by the parking lot with a hat conspicuously pulled down his face, as if he were hiding. Emily made a joke. "What if that's Daniel?" We laughed, but then he slightly tilted his head in our direction as we were looking at him, and then he quickly looked away. Seconds later, he got up and walked away. We weren't laughing anymore. Now we actually questioned the chances of that actually being him. But after a few minutes, the conversation shifted to something else, and we enjoyed the rest of our time there. Afterwards, we wanted to keep hanging out. It was Valentine's Day after all. But her parents were home and I had the place to myself, so we went together back to my rental house. We were on the couch and things were getting a bit more intimate. That's when Emily pulled away from me and said, "What was that?" I heard it too, something from outside in the backyard. "Want me to go check?" I asked. She nodded her head. I went out to the backyard patio, expecting to hear some animals scurrying off in reaction to my presence. I slipped on my slides and walked around the yard, looking around for anything that could have fallen over. And I found what made the noise. The entire stack of beach chairs that was leaning on the house had been knocked over. I don't know how that would happen unless someone or something bumped into them. There wasn't even the slightest breeze that night. I looked around at the bushes that encompassed our yard, and then, as if my brain immediately could spot something out of place, I locked in my vision on something tall in the bushes. My neck jutted forward as I literally tried to focus in and get a better look at what I was looking at. I stepped forward a few steps. I had an oh moment when I realized it was someone standing in the bushes. He had seen me notice him by this point. I said, "Who is that?" The guy started quickly coming out from the bushes at a speed that I took as a threat, as if he were about to charge at me. I took the chance to get him on the ground when he was still struggling with the bushes and twigs, and I yelled at him to stay down multiple times. I yelled Emily's name until she came outside, and I said, "Call the police." The guy on the ground struggled and tried to get loose a few times, but I more or less had him in a steady hold. When Emily came outside while talking with the police, I asked her if this was the guy. She gasped and said, "Oh my God, yes." It was Daniel, the guy who had been harassing her. What's worse is that, at that moment, I realized he was wearing the same colored shirt that the guy with the cap from earlier at the restaurant was wearing. The police got to the house and put him in cuffs. He would be charged with trespassing. Taking advantage of the moment, Emily showed the officers all of the harassing and obsessive messages she'd been receiving from him. Since he was already being arrested, Emily pressed charges for stalking and harassment, which the guy ultimately ended up paying a fine for and getting a misdemeanor. Emily got an order of protection against him, and now if he ever contacts her again, he'll be arrested again. Daniel was the ultimate creep. Thank God he's at least halfway smart enough to not have contacted her again, though.